Well, hello everyone. Talk about right here. So you see the Lysol All Purpose Cleaner right here. We may think of like a lot of cleaning detergents that we may have bought at the store, and just knowing about like some of them that cost right around a couple bucks. But on your hand, and knowing about is like with the whole purpose cleaner. If we were to look at the directions of understanding about cleaning the bathrooms. And with most of the time, if we were to be cleaning the bathroom, you'll be working with the cloth like this, like a talk about like what you call one of those reusable cloths, and I'm like if anybody use it to where you wipe the surface clean right here. And basically that we may think though that the directions say about how to disinfect, and of course how to sanitize. What's the difference between if you disinfect and whenever you sanitize? And we may think though, if we're going to be taking a bath, like you're running the bath water, and then you're like wondering, and then you're here to get cleaned up, but then you may wonder though, I'm like, we're here, we're in the bathroom to get cleaned up here. We're not really here to leave a mess on the walls, but we may think though that between disinfecting and sanitizing, what's really the difference? And more likely, just like what you call maybe for the shower liner right here. And basically that if we take a shower, that we may get mold and mildew or something like that on the shower liner right here. But on the hand, that we may, according to my understanding, of course, between disinfecting and of course sanitizing is basically that if there's any type of odors or anything like that coming from surfaces, it's basically there's one purpose to where they say that leave it there for a few minutes. Just to disinfect any odors and bacterial viruses. Unlike anybody that may wonder though that a lot of stuff that more likely that we may think we come into the bathroom to get cleaned up, and anybody that may wonder, I'm like, that turn it the knob like this. It's like if it's counterclockwise, and then spray up on the walls here, spray up on the walls, and then from there, and then if you like they say on the directions, it says to leave it there for at least 30 seconds, before wiping, and then there's another part directions to where that it says to leave it there for at least 10 minutes before wiping. And you say between disinfecting and of course sanitize. And anybody that may wonder though, I'm like, you come in here and take a shower, you come into the bathtub and you want to take a shower, or it's like maybe if it's to comb your hair, or like anybody type thing. A lot of times, what does it usually mean whenever we come in here to take a shower and then take a bath, such as splish splash, I'm taking a bath, or either that. But on your hand, knowing about what does it usually mean whenever we come in here and then we get cleaned up, and then all of a sudden it's like the type of cleaning supplies is knowing about we come into the bathroom and then we see all these marks, and then we see mildew along the, and then calcium buildup, whichever it is. And anybody that may wonder though, that more likely that may not be coming from necessarily from our skin. It's like maybe the oils on our skin, it could be coming maybe from the water too. And anybody would probably say, but maybe that's maybe about 50% correct. And knowing about that, depend on the type of water, if it's hard water or if it's soft water. Whenever we run the water, and anybody that may wonder though, I'm like, a lot of times, I'm like, how do you know? It's like, for, if it's contaminants in the water, or if it's hard water, soft water, stuff like that. But on your hand, that knowing about that, with the most part, is that whenever we're cleaning the bathroom here, and just knowing about, for where we would need to be positioned at, if it's like, say, a bar of soap right here, and then you got right here, you got two different kinds of bars of soaps right here. You got that, that kind, and then also got the kind right here. They're both like, say, different, it's like scents it is, but on your hand, working right here is like in the bathtub. Anybody probably think, I'm like, if this is like what you call maybe one of the favorite chores around the house right here, knowing about like whenever we clean the bathroom here, and just knowing about all that hard scrubbing, and then extra power on the walls, and they go by, say, the power of Lysol, knowing about that like smells like lemons. And anybody think about like the type of strongness in this, and like for all-purpose cleaner, and they say that usually this stuff right here could more likely be used in other places, like it says that for for removes and kills 99.9% germs, and it can be used in sinks and in tubs, bathrooms and kitchens, countertops, sinks, and a lot of times garbage piles. But anyway, but on your hand, and knowing about with most of the time with most cleaning supplies, you buy them, and anybody may wonder about, you go into the bathroom and you expect to get cleaned up. You don't expect to leave a mess behind. But anyway, anybody probably think about, Mike, almost anything that you do, more likely it's possible that we may leave a mess. And knowing about that, we come into the bathroom to get cleaned up, but right on your hand, and knowing about how big of a mess it is, and we may think about, well, it's usually that if whenever people get busy, that more likely that it could be a real big mess if we skip maybe a few chores, and knowing about, you skip a week, and then it starts really building up until you really just got to use some extra power in it. But on your hand, that anybody may think, like, really, extra power is really all that necessary. What's really necessary is just knowing about, like, just take at least 5 minutes at a time to just spray up on the walls, wipe clean. And basically the difference between disinfecting and sanitizing, is basically that when we wipe, basically that, if we're wiping away the germs and bacterial viruses off the walls, or more likely they say that there's like what you call is like for this complete, it's like for complete cleaning, about like the types of stuff that we're likely that we think about whenever we're cleaning around the house, in order the type of cleaning detergents that we may buy, that knowing about, like, that a cleaner that can maybe do maybe 3-in-1 or something like that, and knowing about what's the difference between when you clean, like between sanitizing and disinfects. And they say that it needs more time, of course, to eliminate and kill the germs, and of course any odors, and then whenever you wipe it right away, maybe in less than 30 seconds, and then more likely that there's a chance that it's more likely not going to remove any of the buildup on the walls. But I could probably tell anybody here that I'm like, for the most part, I think that more likely it's the water, and then maybe the stuff that comes off the people's off the hair and off the skin, whenever we come in here and get cleaned up. But other than that, I talk about say for the Lysol All Purpose Cleaner, safe with the cleaning tour.